Hey, what's going on, Headliner Nation? Kyle back with the Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully, you've got your Wheaties, your Cheerios, your pancakes, your Power Bar. I don't care what it is. Hopefully, you've got your breakfast in this morning because Monday is starting off with a bang. Before most of you, some of you, all of you, doesn't matter where you live, before you roll out of bed this morning, we've already got breaking NFL news that the Jacksonville Jaguars have moved on from Leonard Fournette. Straight cut the man. He is gone out of town. The Jaguars are done with him. Now, this is going to have fantasy implications because Leonard Fournette was the guy that his ADP was around the third round. There were some people who were moving up into the second round to draft him. Now, myself, my evaluation of Leonard Fournette really hasn't wavered much this offseason. If you wanted to have him as like a running back 3, maybe a running back 2, okay, I get it. But I was steering clear of Leonard Fournette this offseason. Now, a lot of people were on board with him because of how many receptions he had last year. And it was highly doubtful that he was going to lose a ton of volume. Even last night on our live show, I talked about Leonard Fournette a little bit and Chris Thompson, and how Chris Thompson was a little bit of a worry for me. But my biggest concern all offseason long with Leonard Fournette is at any point in time, the Jaguars could just say, I'm done. We're moving on. We're done with this. It's been a rocky relationship since the beginning with Leonard Fournette. There's been talks of cutting him. He's been suspended. There's been talks of trying to trade him for a while now. And at this point, they've just decided we're moving on. We're done with it. But don't worry, okay? Leonard Fournette is going to land on his feet. Let's talk about him first, all right? With Leonard Fournette, if you own him, just hold him for right now. He is going to end up on a team. I just, at this point, don't know which one yet. And it also is going to be a big guessing game as to does he land in a situation that allows you to really utilize him as a fantasy asset. There aren't really a whole lot of teams right now that could use a running back like Leonard Fournette that could unleash him in terms of allowing him to get enough carries, enough volume to be a consistent fantasy producer all season long. With Leonard Fournette, since he's come into the league, he's been a volume play. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. Guys, when they come into the league, some of them just, aren't highly efficient. Some of them have to have a lot of volume to be productive. Why would we hate on that? We love running backs that get tons of volume. The problem with Leonard Fournette is he going to be able to get that volume anywhere? I mean, his rookie season, he averaged under 4 yards a carry, but he got 1,000 yards. So he was a guy that you could start on a consistent basis. Last season, though, a good season, but it was really propelled by his targets and his receptions. If Leonard Fournette hadn't had the amount of receptions that he did last year, Leonard Fournette probably wouldn't have been fantasy viable most weeks. But is he going to land somewhere that's going to allow that? A lot of people right now are going to be saying, oh, please go to Tampa Bay, land in Tampa Bay. Like, that's probably going to be like the main place that a lot of people talk about. Is there a probability that he lands alongside Miles Sanders in Philadelphia? For those Miles Sanders truthers, they've been saying all offseason long, we're not adding anybody, but there's always been a possibility that they add a veteran. Does he land do the 49ers take a shot at him? Is that a possibility? They've already got a lot of running backs, but they love to run the ball. Maybe they decide to add somebody else at this point. So Leonard Fournette, over the next couple of days, his name is going to be popping up a lot in the conversations of where is he going to land. And there's probably going to be a few teams that show up within that conversation. The biggest team to watch, though, the Chicago Bears. With the injury to David Montgomery, he's going to be back in the next few weeks, more than likely. 2 to 4 weeks is really the time frame that we were looking at with David Montgomery. But even after the David Montgomery injury, there was some chatter within the community, hey, is this a good landing spot for Leonard Fournette? And at this point in time, it's looking like the perfect landing spot for Leonard Fournette. However, if he were to go to, say, a Chicago, he's not going to get those receptions that he got last year. And when David Montgomery comes back, is he going to be able to get the amount of volume? I mean, they spent a pretty decent draft pick on David Montgomery last year, and they wouldn't even feed him the ball. Matt Nagy just refused to feed David Montgomery the ball. They were all over the place with their play calling. So is that even the best landing spot for Leonard Fournette? At this point, again, there's going to be a lot of speculation on where Leonard Fournette lands, and when he does land somewhere, and I expect it to be before the season starts or very early in the season, we'll break that down a little bit more. But for right now, if you own Leonard Fournette, you just got to hold him, and you just got to wait this thing out. You're just going to have to be patient with it. Don't drop him, and let's see what happens. You've probably already spent a 2, 3, 4th round pick on him, so don't get rid of him just yet. Now, on the flip side of it, what happens with Jacksonville? What's going to happen with their backfield? Well, a guy I've talked about quite a bit this offseason is Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson is a guy that is going to get an absolutely huge bump in half PPR and PPR formats and should be on your team. If you are drafting coming up soon, put him down right now as a potential guy to add in your draft. Chris Thompson has familiarity with Jay Gruden, now offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. They had time together in Washington, and Chris Thompson, when healthy, was utilized quite a bit. So keep an eye on Chris Thompson and get him on your team if possible in half PPR and PPR formats. The Jacksonville defense is going to be garbage this year. This is the point that I brought up on our live show last night. If they are down by quite a bit and they go into like a 2-minute offense, a hurry-up type offense, they have to move the ball quickly, Chris Thompson likely would not be coming off the field. And that was my biggest concern when it came to Leonard Fournette. This comes to fruition now. Chris Thompson is a guy that is going to be on the field quite a bit if and when, and they will be, the Jaguars will be down by quite a bit. So make sure that you're adding Chris Thompson if you can. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a good volume play. Now, outside of that, Raquel Armstead is definitely a late round speculative ad. Me personally, probably not spending a draft pick on him. If I'm spending a draft pick, it's going to be on Chris Thompson. I'm not really interested in Armstead unless it is a deeper league. If you already drafted Leonard Fournette and Armstead is out there on your waiver wire, which probably 99.9% of the leagues he is going to be, then go ahead and pick him up right now if you've got room on your bench. If you can drop somebody, then go ahead and do that just to kind of have some backup to see how this thing plays out. But again, if you're drafting, you can, in deeper leagues, add Armstead late, but I wouldn't be going crazy about it right now. Also, for those of you that are Patreon subscribers here at the Fantasy Headliners, I wrote about a guy on this team, undrafted free agent, that I really thought could end up being a big part of this running back room, maybe late this season or starting in 2021. Okay? For those of you that read the article, you already know who I'm talking about. If you haven't, that's why you got to subscribe to Patreon on the Fantasy Headliners, so you're getting that deep knowledge. But there's another guy, last name Robinson. Give you a little sneak peek there. Also, keep an eye on him. He is a guy, as the season progresses, could end up being somebody that you need to have on your roster as well. So, the Leonard Fournette news this morning, catching probably a lot of you off guard. Even though a lot of you are caught off guard, including myself, you're probably not that shocked by it either, because this writing's been on the wall for quite some time, and honestly was my biggest concern to drafting Leonard Fournette this year, and part of the reason why I was just kind of off trying to take him in drafts. So, right now, if you own Leonard Fournette, just to recap, hold him. Let's wait and see what happens. Chris Thompson is the target now in Jacksonville. He's the guy that you want to be adding in half PPR and PPR leagues. For standard or late round speculative ads, then we're going to go with Armstead. And then again, Robinson, who I briefly mentioned, is somebody to keep on our watch list and just keep our eye on as the season progresses. Headliner Nation, there's going to be another training camp update video coming out later today, but this news was so big, we got to get it out right away. I was up early as soon as the news broke, recorded this, got the editing done, and uploaded it for you. So hopefully you got this information super early in the morning so you can start making adjustments and planning for your drafts. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you got any questions about the situation, leave a comment down below. Headliner Nation, thanks for popping in this morning to check out my breaking news Leonard Fournette video. I'll catch you on the next episode. Have a good one.